Starting your own IEP coaching practice is easier than you think and probably different than what you think. I'm excited to cover three key pillars to starting your own IEP coaching business. For those of you that don't know, I have been an IEP coach for over 20 years. That's not exactly the term that I've always used. I didn't always say, hi, I'm Catherine, I'm an IEP coach, but that's where I've landed because after 2 decades of helping parents and teachers through the IEP process, it really has been more of a coaching than maybe some of the other words that we hear inside of special education, such as advocacy. So, if you're thinking, is IEP coaching like advocacy? Sure, but we'll cover a few of those differences here too. So, for I don't know, let's say 20 years, I've been working one-on-one with clients, and then I developed the Master IP Coach mentorship. There was a reason for that. But way back, like, how did this all start? This is important because if you are thinking about becoming an IEP coach, your story is a big piece about what kind of IEP coach you're going to be. So I have a brother who has Down syndrome, and I decided to become a teacher. So I had that experience as a family, and I had experience behind the scenes as a teacher. If you're thinking about becoming a master IEP coach, you don't have to have the teaching experience. Many of our master IEP coaches do. I would say about 50% have some type of professional teaching certificate or background, and 50% are parents who have experienced the IEP process through their lens of being parent and family member. So I became a teacher, and then I was that teacher that was teaching by day, and then I was helping parents outside of the school. And yes, that is possible. It is possible to absolutely have a job as a teacher and be an IEP coach, because when you learn collaborative ways to help parents through the IEP system, the school system, and let's just not even use this big term, the school system, like it's not as behind the curtain kind of thing. Administrators, bosses, colleagues, they will respect the collaborative view that you're bringing to the community. So if you are a professional and you decide you're going to become an IEP coach, you most likely are not going to be an IEP coach in your own district. That would not work out well. But if you're that person who is out there helping parents through the process collaboratively, and you're helping the community work together, that becomes respected. So, okay, so that's my piece. I'm a family member, right? So my brother has Down syndrome. I'm a teacher. And then I was helping parents through the IEP process. And throughout doing this, my calendar got full. I was traveling and speaking, and I kept on hearing, like, I want to do what you do. And people were asking me to coach them and say, can you teach me how to do this? Like, this is so much different than what I've experienced in the past. These are parents and teachers. They've been to advocacy trainings. They've tried to work things out at the IEP table, but they want to do things differently. And that's where the Master IEP Coach program came about. So in 2017, there was a Master IEP Coach, our initial cohort of Become a Master IEP Coach. And let's just say there have been just great successes within our Master IEP Coach community. And I too have learned along the way, what does it take for a Master IEP Coach to be successful? And really, those are the three key things I'm going to cover right now. There are three key pillars that if you're thinking, I want to be an IEP coach, I want to get paid to help parents through the IEP process. I see parents struggling. I don't want them to have to go through this alone. And to do that, there's three key areas. Here they are. One, you have to become an expert at IEP development. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to be an expert in all of the disability community to write IEPs for every child who has an IEP. No. Becoming an expert in IEP development includes getting really narrowed down into who do you help through the IEP process. You become an expert in a specific kind of type of family. So maybe you're going to work in the dyslexia community, or maybe you love working with preschool families and helping them get ready for kindergarten. Maybe you're going to be an IEP coach who loves working with families who are in middle school. Like, that's just, you're going to learn all things middle school and the things that need to happen in middle school IEPs. But IEP development and getting really strategic and narrowed down, because if we try to learn everything about IEP development for everybody, then it's like you never really get to the specifics, the core, those unique needs that a child needs. So that's a mistake actually that I see a lot inside of our advocacy or IEP coaching world is we have trainings that are very general. Like this is what an IEP is. This is IEP development and it's the big picture. And we need those. We need those. But a lot of times that's where it stops. It stops of like this is the purpose of an IEP or this is how a SMART goal needs to be written and these are the rights of a child, of a family inside the school system. And it's this big picture, but what about each individual family? Like, how do you get really narrowed down so you can help families specifically in an area that you become that expert? So IEP development and really getting niche down and narrowing your focus and getting really good at what you do in a certain area, that's a big key to becoming an IEP coach that's successful and your calendar is full and you're helping parents through the IEP process. So number one, IEP development, but not just general IEP development, specific IEP development inside of our disability community. The second thing that master IEP coaches have to get really good at is personal development, because it takes a lot of growth for us as individuals to do things like start our own business or to sit through IEP meetings, to coach families through difficult problems. There are a lot of layers that can affect you personally, and you need personal growth. So personal growth and being able to develop leadership skills, not just negotiation skills, but leadership skills where you're bringing teams together even through the toughest conversations, that's really important. So we have personal development and then of course making sure that you have this work life, oh, I'm going to use the word balance. I don't even like the word balance because balance makes things feel like they're equal, and our days are not equal, our time is not equal. Sometimes we're more focused on work, sometimes we're more focused on family. That's just how life is. And so but finding where are your boundaries between work and life, that's personal development. And having this ability to, yes, work from anywhere as an IEP coach and go through the master IEP coach program. And you're like, yes, I got IEP development. Awesome. And then, yes, you're going to get business development. That's our third pillar is you have to get really good at some business development. But to keep it all together, you have to have the personal development. So, okay, so let's talk about this business development for a minute. You got to get good at business development. Don't let the technology of that scare you. Like you don't have to even go live on social media like I am right now. And this is part of the Special Education Inner Circle podcast right now. So you don't have to go live, but you do have to learn how to develop your business so you can connect with families who need you, right? I mean, if you learn all the IEP development and you learn all the personal development and then nobody knows about you, that's not going to be helpful. So you have to learn some business development. So I love to simplify things. And again, this is something that I've definitely learned from coaching master IEP coaches since 2017 and helping them build their own businesses. I was like, the simpler, the better. So we've actually nailed down this process to you can run an IEP coaching business with a one-page website. It has to have very specific things on it, but a one-page website, you can do that. A couple of social media accounts, just so if people Google you, they know that you're like, real, and this is the work that you do in there. You have to know how to send invoices and track client time and to, do the business side of things. But really, these are the three things that you need to put together. Your IEP development that's hyper-focused in the area where you want to help. Your personal development so you can have this, work and life boundaries and balance that work together so you can be the best IEP coach and develop those leadership skills that you can use throughout the IEP development. And then your business development of kind of pulling it all together. And this is the mechanics of what happens behind the scenes. Those are really the three things that you need. I'm going to be teaching more of this through a free webinar where we're going to talk about the true differences between an IEP coach and an advocate. I'll give you a little hint here. It's, typically when a parent hires an IEP coach, it's because there's not a huge crisis that is happening. So I'll give you a quick example. I had a family come to me several years ago, and they said, I think this IEP is good, but I feel like something is missing. Can you please help me? And I said, sure. So I knew what to look for, and they were my ideal client. They were that kind of that sweet spot where I knew what I was looking for because I'd done the work in IEP development in this area. So I'm looking through things, and I said, you know what? It is a pretty good IEP. Like, this is amazing. This is great. But I don't see technology really put into the IEP. And I think with your child's communication needs, that technology could be a huge benefit in this. So let's look for an assistive technology evaluation from the team. And I was able to write the letter for her to request an assistive technology evaluation. But here's the key: I don't send it to the school, I'm just coaching the parent. So I write the letter and I send it to the parent. I say, this is what I suggest that you send. The parent can keep it as is, they could change it, but I'm coaching them of this. This is what is most likely going to, be best practice, right? That's going to get the team into, the thought process of, yes, let's do this assistive technology evaluation. Let's see. And we ended up getting, yes, the team was like, okay, sure, let's go explore that. So they explored assistive technology, and the child ended up with a dedicated iPad for communication needs. And this is a child who absolutely was verbal and could communicate wants and needs, but it was just something to take the IEP next level. It was about really preparing this child for further education, employment, independent living, and knowing that technology was going to be a big part of it. So, just as an IEP coach, you're looking for, where can I take things from good to great? And if a parent is struggling, how do I coach them through what is possible? What are all the opportunities to provide a free and appropriate public education? And how do I help them make the best decision possible? Whereas a lot of times when we think about IEP advocacy, we think of huge, rights violations. The child's rights have been violated, therefore we need to go fix it. And a lot of times there's, ugly legal paperwork that's involved, and we're fixing something that has been hugely wrong. And so advocacy becomes kind of this, and again, if you look up the definition of advocacy, this is not what it is. But this is how it feels in special education, right? Is that an advocate comes in when things went wrong, things have, need to be fixed, nobody's helping, and we have to, dig deep into what needs to happen next in maybe a more assertive way than an IEP coach who is really helping parents understand the process, ask all the things, and get through sticky conversations, and make sure all the pieces are moving forward. And yes, sometimes there can be bumps in the road, or maybe services weren't delivered, but we're coaching through that in a leadership style that brings teams together and builds bridges versus, perhaps maybe bridges have already been burned a lot of times in a traditional advocacy kind of sense. So if you've been thinking about, again, how to start your own IEP coaching, if you've ever Googled like how to become an IEP advocate, but you're like, I don't know if that feels quite right, then, we need to talk about maybe the Master IEP Coach program is right for you. You're ready to learn more about IEP development and get really focused on what kind of families could you help through the IEP process. You're like, yes, I want this leadership style. I want this lifestyle of having, work and home and boundaries and balance and bringing teams together. And then you need help with the business side of like, what goes on that one-page website? And how do I make sure people know about me so I can fill my calendar with clients and make a difference inside of special education, one IEP at a time. Again, I'm going to encourage you, look at the links below. I'll make sure that you have a link to the upcoming free webinar to learn more, where you can ask me questions. We can discuss if perhaps the Master IEP Coach mentorship is right for you. All right, everyone. I'll see you next time.